Welcome back to the Recap Show. On today's episode, we will be talking about CP's return, the US Women's National Team's victory, and we'll be joined by our friends, Sydney Leroux and Merritt Mathias. And if you like what we're doing here, please like, rate, and subscribe to our YouTube, and also wherever you get your podcasts. But first, let's get into the daily discussion.
Welcome back to the Recap Show. Tobin and I are so excited to be here. It has been an amazing quarterfinal round of women's soccer at the Olympics, and we are going to jump on in and talk about it.
We will. But I will mention this is a really, really big episode.
It's a big episode?
Yes.
Why is that?
Because this is the first time you've ever worn a tie.
It is the first time I've ever worn a tie, and I will take your feedback. Am I adorable?
Well, before we get into the quarterfinals, yes, there's this thing called the Olympics going on, the US Women's National Team through to the semifinal.
Woo-hoo.
These really big things, but there was also a really big thing recently that happened to you, and I thought we could start there.
My 7 minutes of glory.
Was it 7 minutes?
Well, actually, you told me it was 11.
I thought so.
But I got subbed in at the 84th and a half minute. And then there was some extra minutes there.
Yeah. Love those extra minutes
I
for you.
really, really loved those extra minutes too.
Yeah. It was really confusing to me because it's like you finished the match and I was just like, there was like a big kind of exhale, oh my gosh, she did it. And then all of a sudden, I saw the team, going back out onto the field. And I was like, what? They're doing extra time? Because it was a 0-0 game. And then I was like, she's not cleared for any more minutes than this. So then I had, this moment where I was, really, defensive. And I, wanted to run down there and be like, no, she has to come out.
Wait, this is me hearing this for the first time.
I know. And then this is my internal dialogue. And then all of a sudden, everybody, started kind of congregating in the center. And I was like, they're just doing PKs. And then I was like, oh, no, she's going to have to take a PK.
Yeah, I told you that was
There was a lot. There was a lot there. Can you take us through, obviously, we've seen the pictures. We've seen your quotes, we've seen all this, but for the recap show, we get to hear and to see, something a little bit different. So can you give us maybe a story we haven't heard?
Okay, well, some of you might have heard this, but it's a good story, and it starts with a Tobin Heath.
Oh.
And before I was going to the game, and we were trying to balance what it feels like to have 2 years of emotions flood into your body overnight when you find out you're off SEI and going to go into the game. And I've been working over these last 2 years to be a regulated, mature person that can handle my feelings. And this was a really big test right out the gate. So I was talking to you and you said, and I was trying to understand how I was going to feel in my body because everyone kept saying, how are you? How are you feeling? And I felt absolutely nothing, which is my default setting, which we've learned over these last 2 years. And so I was really trying to just experience the week. And I was trying to experience if I was disappointed. And I was trying to feel it if I was excited. And I was really having a hard time staying in my body because I just kept seeing this aerial view, not dissimilar to the real aerial view that you had of me running on. And it was I was better able to relate to you watching it than to be in my body there, right? And so Tobin Heath told me to be the same way that I am when I enter the farmer's market. And Tobin has many names for me, which you all know, CP, Chris, generally whatever she calls me, then everyone else starts calling me that. I hope this doesn't catch on. She calls me sometimes farmer's market Christen because I am my absolute best self at the farmer's market. I am a delight. I am friends with everybody. Every single person in all the stands, they know me. They always pick out my peaches for me, and I always ask for the best ones. And it's just a wonderful experience every weekend. And when we get to the farmer's market, sometimes Tobin's trying to get the groceries and go, but that's not what the farmer's market's about. So I always tell her to experience the farmer's market with her senses, with her heart, with her intuition. So you reversed that on me and you told me to smell the grass and maybe like put my hand down and touch it, and maybe that could help me connect to my body. So when I was on the sideline and everyone saw that I was like harassing the ref. So sometime
Straight
after
back to
that,
the NWSL.
after I harassed the ref, then I really tried to be in my body.
Then I entered the farmer's market.
I was in the farmer's market and I just tried to feel it. And I think I had a big smile on my face because it was enjoyable to smell the grass and to actually hear the fans. And I will say the journey has just been especially beautiful because you would think after 2 years you would be forgotten about. That is the life of an athlete. And for some miraculous reason, I felt supported and loved by this entire women's soccer community for the last 2 years. And I think it was only because of that support and love and encouragement that I made it back. So hopefully that's the beginning.
Yeah. Well, welcome to the pitch, Farmers Market, Christen.
All right. We'll see what she can do. Hopefully she can get the best produce and score some goals.
I like it.
All right. Let's talk about the game.
Yes.
So it was a exciting, nail-biting, sitting on the edge of your seat really early in the morning for us on the West Coast game. A little reminiscent of the World Cup where I was so tired that I didn't really know what was happening. And also it wasn't as delightful to watch the team. So I was like, oh my God, I'm having PTSD. Are we back in the World Cup?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Thank you for saying that because I was wondering like that something felt like a little bit off. And I think it was that. I think it was like the timing, the lack of sleep, and then trying to deal with these big emotions, being in a knockout stage and being 0-0 for most of the match. It was a lot. The US women's national team is tired.
Yes.
And so are the rest of every other team that's left in this tournament.
Yeah.
Like, these teams just are all tired.
Yeah. Okay, so we have to start with saying that the U.S. women's national team won.
Yes.
1-0 against Japan in overtime.
Yeah.
And they won while they were very tired.
Yeah. Yes.
And part of the reason why I think I had some PTSD is also because we are not utilizing substitutes.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it.
I mean, it's tough.
Okay. So early on the show, you said if the U.S. does not win, it's because they don't have depth. Now we are 4 games in. Do you think that holds?
I hate being right sometimes, but
do you?
No, in this case I do. Yes, I still think it holds. I think it's more true today than the first time I said it. And look, we're going to ride it out. We're going to see how far this team can go. I think this is part of the hand that we were dealt for this tournament, for the time with the manager, for where this player pool is at in terms of their international experience. Emma Hayes has very much said, I would rather play with these players at 60%, this cohesive group that I've only had seven games together, this cohesive group that I'm trying to get to gel a little bit, that's doing so. I'd rather have them tired than to mess up what she feels like is working for this team.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. And I have a lot of questions for you, but I think the one thought that I have is about the third group game, which was not a must-win game, and the decision at that point not to rotate the players.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people saw that moment and they said, but we need to rest our players. But for me, it's not really about resting your players. It's about giving your entire roster the opportunity to get in form so that you can trust them, because the games are really tight together. You don't have a big roster. And I would have loved to see, goals from other players starting, other defenders starting at outside back so that you don't have to have Crystal go 90-90-90 after not having done that for a whole year.
Yep.
But also then if someone picks up a knock, you've got someone who can slot in. And I really do think of myself in the 2019 World Cup. If I hadn't played that third game for 90 minutes, would I have been ready all of a sudden when Pino was not available in the semifinal to play 90 minutes? If I hadn't played a soccer game in 2 months? So that's the reality. The other thing that I will say, you want to go?
I just want to say what you said right there, like that it's not about, you said it's not about
resting the players.
It's about trusting the players. And that is such a big thing because that's the feeling that like we're given. And that's the confidence then we have when we go out on the pitch is confidence.
And that is a little bit leading to my question about last year at the World Cup. I think a lot of the criticism about the way that team was managed was it really felt like the manager wasn't trusting the players. Yeah. Do you feel that again, or do you feel like this is different?
I think it's different. I do think it's different, but my concern is that we can't get stronger with our substitutions. And I think that is the biggest difference. And I think it is partly because we've only really prepared this like first 11, 12, 13 players. And, the best USWNT teams that I know, it wasn't the best 11 players on the field. We got stronger when we made substitutions because that and that was the strength of the team. That was the strength of us through tournaments. And you referenced yourself in the 2019 like World Cup. Like when you came in, you brought something that nobody on that front line could bring.
Fresh legs. And you know
and
what?
Defense.
and a pep talk to Crystal, who was really, really freaking tired and needed a pep talk and needed me to promise her I would defend next to her.
But like it's funny because the teams that we were playing, they would be like, holy crap, now that player's coming in.
Yeah.
And that's a luxury. And I think that this team, this player pool, the USWNT team, will always have the luxury of a talented pool of players. That is not the question here. The question is the trust. The question is the experience. The question is the confidence in this moment. Now, she has basically said, I don't trust these players. Whether, obviously she didn't say that, but that's the feeling that they're going to have. And she missed the boat. The opportunity to give players an opportunity to feel like they're part of this big Olympic push. She missed that boat, and now we're going into the semifinal and the final, and that is when it's even scarier, like where you become even tighter. And
I will
for a lot
say,
of these players, like take a Jaden Shaw. Like, is Jaden Shaw really going to go into a semifinal?
Maybe.
After not playing any of the group
really
stage
tough.
in the first ever World Championship that she's in, and is she going to go in and be like, I'm ready. This is my moment. Like, she might. If it's down 1-0.
She might go in, but that's not the best preparation. That's not the preparation that I would want to get subbed in.
Yeah. But like that's, and that's where I said it's the hand that we've been dealt. And I think what Emma Hayes has decided to do, she will live and die by it. And she will be fine. She's going to leave this World Championship, whether it's at the end of the semifinal or whether it's winning a gold medal. She will leave this World Championship and she will have like so much information and she will have so much time to prepare for the World Cup. And this will be a valuable lesson for her. And regardless of what the team now does, whenever they leave this tournament, like I find this to be a huge success and a huge step forward for this group of players.
Well, and one player in particular that is just growing, especially when I think compared to last summer, our goal scorer, our woman of the match, Trinity Rodman.
Wow.
Scores an absolute screamer.
Yeah.
What was it in the first period of extra time? Like the last second of it, with her left foot, kind of against the run of play.
Yep.
What do you think?
The goal was phenomenal. It was definitely an individual moment of brilliance. Yes, great ball from Crystal Dunn, great diagonal ball to allow her to be isolated. But that's like a finish that is, she just won the game for the team.
It's such a huge moment.
For a young career, like that's her first big game moment. And that's like, those give you the confidence to really shine and be a star. Like she is a star now for this U.S. Women's National Team.
It's so cool. And I remember the criticism that came last summer, and that experience helped prepare her for this moment. And she really, really feels ready. I think there's two ways that goal scorers score goals. One of them is with complete presence and focus and intention, and the other one is when you black out and it's a God goal. That's what I call it.
God goal.
And this seemed like a God goal, and I hope that we see many, many more for her in an illustrious career.
Yeah.
Now, the last thing of this daily discussion.
Wait, one more thing about Trinity Rodman, because yes, she did score a goal, but her work rate and her defensive ability throughout that whole entire game, I was in awe of it. When everybody was at empty on their tanks, Trinity Rodman was hustling back, making defensive plays, because that is her role on this team and the way that they set up, and then still able to break through, get on a diag, bring the ball down, and have like a world-class moment. Like that's phenomenal. So I think we really have to applaud both sides of the ball, what she's doing for this US Women's National Team. Because
I think that that's a testament to her fitness, and to be complimented by Tobin whale lungs about your fitness is a pretty high praise, in my opinion.
I was very impressed.
And you were very fit.
Okay, we can turn the page now.
We're turning the page very briefly to our semifinal matchup, which is a rematch up against Germany.
Yes.
What's it like playing the same team twice in the same tournament?
Yeah, we've done this. It's more likely in the Olympics, just because of the way that the tournament is structured. It's awkward. I feel like the team that won the first matchup, there's more pressure on them, because you get this feeling, well, one, the game was a blowout, but the actual match wasn't. Mm-hmm. So the score was a blowout, the actual match wasn't. And what I was nervous about, and in my original, I think, Paris prediction about this game, was that we were going to meet Germany again, and it was going to be a much tougher task. And when I say tougher task, what I'm referring to is like a much closer score line, where there's a lot more on the line. And it is way better to be the team that loses in the group stage and still continues on than to be the team that then gets beat in the knockout rounds.
Well, I think we all have to take a second and pause and just congratulate you on your Paris prediction coming true.
Well, no,
wow.
I don't want the Paris prediction. Actually, it was a little ambiguous what I said, but I said that there wouldn't be the same outcome against Germany, which means that maybe it's just a tighter scoreline and the US still wins, or maybe I was saying something else.
I was really just thinking about, you predicted Bandit would score, and then you predict that we'd see each other again.
I think it's my
awesome.
Olympic charm.
It's pretty
prophetic. I think whatever I didn't have at the World Cup with my predictions, I feel like I'm really starting to hit my flow state.
I know. I want to know, do you all trust her? Do you all trust her with her predictions? I'm still wishy-washy. We'll see. You got to do another one today. I don't like playing the same opponent twice. Especially if I've won. I will say that as a forward, when you have a 0-0 game, which was Germany-Canada in the quarterfinals, it was Germany-Canada. It was 0-0 into penalties. Yeah. So all those forwards are not feeling great.
Yeah.
And at least we got our goal in. So I think a little bit we have more momentum. They will be equally tired.
Yes. Yeah, I'm a little nervous because the first two games, obviously, we saw this like really dynamic U.S. attack. The last two games have been really flat. Mm. And I just want to say it. It's not because they've disappeared. They're still there. But teams now know what we look like, what we're trying to do. And I think there are simple ways, we saw it in Japan, that teams are now going to try to mitigate the risk of what our attack does. Okay, one thing that just stood out to me.
Great.
A goalkeeper, Ann Katzenberger, and I don't know if you saw this, but in the PK shootout, most goalkeepers try to become really big with like their arms, take up all the goal or whatever. She put her hands behind her back.
During the penalty shootout?
Yes.
Like while
the kicker was about to.
Is this going viral?
Well,
or did no one notice?
I don't know. No, everyone noticed, but I don't think anybody knows like how. I think that was the coolest move I've seen in football in a long time.
Okay, another time.
I don't even need my hands to say this.
Okay, high praise again from a pretty cool person. But what's funny about this is that is the posture with hands behind my back that I walk through the farmer's market.
Oh my gosh.
And you want to know why? It's because I have an open chest so I can like perceive things. So I wonder if she was like opening up her posture so that she could read where the ball was going.
She looked at peace.
Farmer's market burger.
Contrary to popular belief, dehydration isn't the biggest problem facing athletes. Overhydration is. Thanks to misguided hydration guidelines, you see lots of athletes overhydrate and dilute blood sodium levels, which can cause headaches, fatigue, muscle cramps, dizziness, and more. Enter Element. Element has enough sodium, potassium, and magnesium to help you feel and perform your best. Plus, it has 0 sugar and artificial colors. I love the way Element tastes, and I love how it makes me feel. Have you tried the chocolate salt with coffee in the morning? Sometimes I'll go for a little spice with the mango chili flavor while watching the games in Paris. And now Element has a fantastic offer for us. Get your free 8-count sample pack with the Element purchase at drinkelement.com/recap. That's DRINKLMNT.com/recap. And be sure to try the new Element Sparkling, a bold 16-ounce can of sparkling electrolyte water. And the best part is, Element offers no question asked refund. Try it totally risk-free. You have nothing to lose and electrolytes to gain. Big thanks to Element, and now back to the recap show.
Tobin and I are so blessed to be able to interview some of the world's best athletes and changemakers. And today we are welcoming Sydney Leroux and Merritt Mathias. Tobin, tell us about them.
Angel City teammates, best friends,
NWSL vets, fashionistas. Let's see what they're wearing. Let's bring them in.
we are here with the hottest couple in the NWSL. Sydney Leroux and Merritt Mathias.
We are the hottest couple.
We really are.
That was our guess the guest clue.
Oh, hell yeah. I hope people guess it.
I'm sure they did.
Yeah, I feel like Woso's like on it. They're going to know right away.
How did it feel coming out as not a couple?
I don't know, Mare. How was it?
Was it devastating?
It was a little devastating. I've never been turned down. I haven't been turned down much.
And so publicly.
I know, and so publicly.
It
I've
was.
just been turned down. I mean, when Sid hit the hard launch with like her current man, I was like, man, that hurt. That hurts a little bit.
It's tough.
Falling off that pedestal is not easy.
Well, there's still a lot of love there.
No, there's so much love. I think it's a really funny bit. I think we
Yeah, it
still
was
stay
hilarious.
committed to it
Yeah, we
in our
do.
own way. And
really
What is that way?
yeah, and honestly, I think everyone just wants it to be true.
Yeah. Yeah. It would be a great love story.
Like it would just be, it would set NWSL on fire. I
Oh
think.
my gosh.
Breast
would you?
always said that. She was like, Sid, if you were a lesbian, the internet would shut down.
Yeah.
Yes.
You would shut it down.
Yeah.
Just think about it.
Okay, fine. Sorry, Dave.
Yeah.
Dave.
Dave, you're out. I'm in.
Well, right before we started this interview, we were talking about Tits and Tiffs in the NWSL. It's a new show that you guys just came out with.
Yeah.
It's all about your personalities on and off the field.
Yes.
And we just found out recently that Merritt actually is a little tiffy on the field.
Yeah, I got tits and I have tits.
And what's funny is all three of us are attacking players. So we don't really come in contact with one another when we're playing against each other.
That's true.
We did say that we wouldn't want to come in contact with Sid.
No.
But we have
Thank
come
you.
in contact with you.
Many times.
Yeah.
All of us have.
Many times.
To be fair, I hate playing against every single one of you.
Well, we hate playing against you.
It's mutual.
I know. I feel like that's mutual respect. You're like, I love you, and I also absolutely hate you when I have to play against you. And whenever I played against Sid at fucking Orlando, I'd be like, I know that bitch is gonna slide. I know.
Every time.
Every time.
She leaves her feet so hard.
coming
I'm like,
in.
oh, okay.
I'm coming in.
Like, I'm out.
And usually I get it.
And you do
usually
get it.
I don't foul when I go down.
No, you usually get the ball.
Yeah.
You're actually
Yeah.
usually attacking. Like you're usually
it's-
sliding the ball.
yes.
Yeah,
It's art. It's side tackling is an art, and you have it.
you.
Does everybody always say fucking before they say Orlando?
I think so, and it's been that way for a very long time.
For a really long time.
Forever, it's been
Yeah.
fucking Orlando.
true.
First of all, I don't want to go there. It's hot. It rains constantly.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, for a while there, it was just Orlando's always been like a difficult team to play.
Mhm.
I just think they've been managed
Is it more the team or more the
Really?
weather?
Both.
both.
Yeah.
I mean, Sid, you live there.
Yeah.
Did I ever? Did I ever?
I mean,
we don't have to go there. Yeah. It's
Not
not
just
Yeah, I feel like
memory lane.
that's
Yeah.
not something that
Let's
needs to
just
be
leave
brought
that
up.
somewhere.
Well, you both and Tobin and I both have very long-standing careers in the NWSL.
Mm-hmm.
Both all of us have represented our country, have gone through so much evolution when it comes to where the game is.
Mm-hmm.
We want to just start us off talking about a little bit about what you've seen, how our game's evolved, especially when we're thinking about this Olympics. Sid, you played in the Olympics in 2012.
Gold
And
medalist.
A lot
Let's
of
go.
things in women's
Yeah.
soccer have changed.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think when I came onto the team in 2012, I was the youngest, and
Wow.
now you're like thinking of the youngest and they're like teenagers.
Whoa,
I'm like,
that's a big difference.
yeah. Like, at least I went to college. I did all the things. Like, these are, they're
Wait,
kids.
you were the youngest player on that roster?
Yeah.
Wow.
Mhm.
Really?
How old
I
were you?
know. 21 or 22, I think. Right out of college. Or I didn't finish college yet. I had to go back.
Oh, tough. We've all been there.
Yeah. But I just think it's so different. I mean, we could have only hoped that we play in front of 22,000 people, sold out stadiums. Like, I was playing in Boston in the NWSL in the beginning on a high school field with like someone with a camcorder on YouTube. And then they, it's just so crazy. So yeah, I think we've come so far. Of course, there's a long ways to go, but we've come so far. And I think it's really cool to like be sitting with all of you and know that we have like pushed it to get to this point. I think without us, there is no league.
I know.
Yeah. Pushed it, kicked it, shoved it.
Yeah. Did all the things.
Did all the things.
I mean, and it's so interesting too, because there's like a role that the national team plays in that evolution,
100%,
but there's a huge role that we all play in respecting our league and pushing our league. That I think that both of you, I have just like so much respect for keeping the level of the NWSL up year in and year out, and it's not easy because it's not as glamorous as
everyone thinks it is.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know if anyone thinks that.
Let me tell you right now.
I'm sure.
It's not.
I'm sure, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's tough.
No, it is crazy. The evolution of the league itself. And to think we only had, like, our first CBA was ratified 3 years ago.
Wow.
So there was such a long period of time where the rules and regulations and lack thereof just allowed things to go unregulated, and what players had to endure and get through and continue to just show up and perform and create something that people wanted to come and watch. And now you see it and you're like, I think for me, like, the biggest gift of my career is being like able to come to Angel City and play in front of the stadium that you're meant to play in front of. And that hasn't been my entire career. It's not been all of our careers. You were lucky enough to play in Portland. And, like, that's the only place you got to go. And you're like,
only fun stadium.
the only fun stadium. And you're like,
Yeah.
all I want to do is silence that stadium. But it is the coolest one to step in. And, like, now you're seeing that happen, like, over and over again. And while we still have growth to go, I mean, to Sid's point, like, I started in Kansas City and we were in it was actually really cool. When they first opened their stadium, they posted a picture and I was like a part of the starting lineup. We're playing Portland. We're playing you, I believe.
Yeah.
And, like, in Kansas City in Shawnee Mission High School is the photo. And, like, to see in 12 years what had happened and, like, what Kansas City has done in Kansas City and has created something that's never been done before for women's sport is incredible. But when I was there, it was a high school field. It was surrounded by a track. The field was awful. It was such bad turf. There were so many lines. And, like, you just made it work. And I remember being like, I'm a professional athlete.
Yeah.
Like, this is so fucking cool. Like, I'm living my dream. I'm playing with Lauren Holiday and, like, Becky Sauerbrunn and, like, all right, let's, like, do this thing. We made it.
Yeah.
And so I hope that, like, the generation that's coming in is looking around and are like, holy shit, we made it. And also, I want to carry this on and, like, push this forward. And I hope, like, pushing it forward doesn't have to be or look like what we had to go through to push it forward.
I mean, it's so interesting because just before this, we were talking about the evolution of women's sports at large, right? And the recent documentary with Simone Rising, and how gymnastics has evolved and how the people who are participating and winning in sport and what they look like and who they are has evolved. Will you share a little bit about that, Merritt, what you were sharing with me before, and also how you think Sid has played that role in women's soccer in a way?
Absolutely. So funny enough, Sid and I, this was a So Sid and I room together on road trips because we're a couple.
Roomies.
Y'all know how that goes, don't you? Well played, you guys. Well played. We took a little note from your playbook, and it works. Actually, no one asked us shit.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're laying in bed together watching those small.
Yeah. Cuddling.
You always knew in the double bed, like one of them was like completely made.
Yeah, you're like when you're trying to hide everything, you're like, let me just
untuck those sheets.
Move that pillow a little bit. So anyway, yes, Sid and I were in our own separate beds.
Okay.
And we bring our little office chair over and set Sid's iPad in the middle. That's that's just our thing.
Yeah.
And so we start watching Simone Rising, and we all know what happened in 2021 with the Olympics and everything. And Sid's like, can I turn off the light? And I'm like, yeah. She's like, I'm crying. I'm like, yeah, me too. Like, I mean, immediate tears.
Yeah.
And so there's a part in the, I think it's the second episode, where she talks about like Gabby Williams and all these women, like, or standing up on this podium as a Black woman, and the comments that are coming in are like, her hair doesn't look tamed, or like, this doesn't look like, not basically commenting on her appearance without saying anything that she's Black and we don't know how to take in like her in this space because we've never seen it before and we're uncomfortable by it. And so Simone talks about it, about like how those comments come in and stuff. And only a couple of days ago, I was sitting and talking to Sid, and we were actually talking the topic of like how much this sport has grown. And I was like, you know, you look at it and I'm like, I have now been able to take so much pride in saying that like my career hasn't always looked the way that I wanted it to look. But there are very few people that can say that they like changed something for the better. Like they came into something, and when they leave it, it is much better than when they found it. And Sid was like, yeah, like I understand that. I was like, yeah, but Sid, like you were like one of the first Black women that was like on Sports Illustrated and like seen, and like while all that came, like you also got the like hurt of being like sexualized and people not understanding like how to like take you in and like hold you in this space. And like because you just never like allowed yourself to alter from who you are, and then we're like, I am Sid, this is who I am, either love me, don't like me, but I'm going to continue to be me. And like you rocked your tattoos, you rock your braids now, like, and you see the women that have come into the sport after, and I'm like, this sport looks different because you played in it and you decided to stay here and play. And that is like, I'm just so proud of you. I'm so proud of everyone that sits here, but it's so true, you know? Even in gymnastics, I was just telling Christen, I was like, it's really interesting. You look at gymnasts now, and I'm like, you would have not seen a tattoo on a gymnast 10, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. Wouldn't have seen it.
It was
and
like
now
a
you
skinny, small, petite.
Yeah.
I guess I should use the word petite, white
Oh,
sport.
yes.
And now, and you know, and there's still
Yeah.
criticism about it. It's like, oh, it used to be artful, and now it's powerful.
Yeah,
It's like,
exactly.
yeah, I can read
that
between
was
those
racist, but yeah.
But I mean, we're seeing those parallels. I like love that story so much. So I'm so glad you told it, Merritt, because like it is, you know, sometimes when we play alongside each other, we don't always see what's happening, you know. And we just had Shannon Box on the show, and she was saying in 2015, it was you, me, and her. We were the only Black players on the team, and now you look at the roster.
Look at that front line.
Yeah.
You know, like look at we talked about that the other day, you know. It's just like unbelievable and so proud, you know, because finally, like it's just different. But like I feel like yes, I'm Black, but I was different from the beginning because I spoke my mind, and that was like very tough because either you're not believed or you're a problem or all of these things. And then I get to sit here now, you know, however many years later, and say like 13. I was right all along.
Yeah,
I was
it's been
right
13
all along.
years.
Yeah.
You know, even like before that, like stuff that happened with Canada that I spoke about, like all of those things, they've all come to light. And I just feel like finally I feel validated because so many people didn't believe me.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just like, I don't know, just a good feeling now that you see people who look like us, tattoos and piercings and just like whoever they want to be. And there's someone on that team that you can be, that a little girl or a little boy can say, that's me. Like I'm that person too.
Yep.
And like I didn't have that growing up, and you probably didn't either, you know?
No, and I mean, it's just sometimes you don't even realize you're doing it. Like you were just doing you, right? But you were fighting and you were like resisting the pressure to conform or to look different or to act different or to shrink away because people were not comfortable with who you actually were. And just by being you, you got to like pioneer in a space. So, I mean, it is incredible. It is incredible, especially when you think about the front line and how that's evolved in us as forwards, like on that team and how different it looks now. And it's, I mean, women's sports is having a moment. And I think the fact that it's getting attention and blossoming in the way that it is like awesome. But the fact that it's diversifying is like the coolest thing in the world.
1,000%.
Yeah. And like the Olympics in general, like is like women are like the best stories, like both on and off the pitch field or whatever. Like tell the best.
No,
it's like women and then like the horse guy.
I was like, Pop horse guy. No, but I'm like, no, I'm literally
don't bring
Big Dick Anthony and Pop horse. Steve.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Steve and Anthony.
Steve and Anthony. No, but I'm like, no, I think it was just reported today the only individual like gold medals that the United States has won has been all by women. And I'm like, you know what? You know what it really feels like is that 2024 as a whole is like, you know what? We're going to heal. We're going to move into our feminine energy because we've been doing this masculine shit for far too long. Yeah. And we're going to like see what it's like to have Kamala for president. And we're going to see what it's like for like women to carry all the gold medals in the Olympics. And like, we'll see how this goes. Yeah. Because it is entertaining. It's fun to watch. And like women are like more than just even an athlete, like the sense of humor and like the storytelling, the personality and like all that is like starting to come out. We keep bringing up Simone, but even to see her speak the way she's speaking now in comparison to how she spoke
4 and 8 years ago.
Yeah, 4 and 8 years ago is crazy.
Yeah.
And like to be open and honest about her mental health journey, but also just to be like, if you're going to talk shit, I'm going to call you out on it. And I'm not going to sit here and be polite and be like what every other gymnast has been told to be and be grateful. Like every woman has ever felt like they should be when they sit in the sport, in the space. And I think like that's a powerful thing. And it's like, as someone that, I don't know, has really never been able to keep their mouth shut. I'm like, I would win gold in yapping and talking shit. And like, and like, I'm just like, go on, girl. Like, that is huge because what you do for like even your peers of your age, but younger women and younger girls is huge. Like, maybe not everyone can like do a vault that you did, but everyone can like find their voice.
I love that.
And it's like given the language and the understanding, the learnings about your own experiences. It's like we didn't even have like the language around what we were experiencing. And now we're like, oh my gosh, mental health. Of course.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
I'm depressed. This is really hard. I get it now.
Oh, that's emotional abuse. I had no idea.
And all of a sudden, like we're all realizing we all experienced it. And now there's this like unifying like voice that's come out of it. And what we're seeing is just like a diversity of storytelling in all different athletes, in all different different upbringings, past whatever it is. And like we're not just seeing this like one version of the women's athlete that was like kind of sold to us at this young age that we never identified with, that never fit into it, that never told our story, that was all for somebody else's story, that was to play up and to keep the status quo. And for the first time ever, we're getting the freedom and the collectiveness to tell our stories. And, you know, that's what we're passionate about. That's what we're passionate about here, is to do what wasn't done for us, what wasn't given, what we weren't given a chance to do. That's what we're doing.
Well, I mean, Merritt said it. We're all moving into our divine feminine energy. and
meanwhile, Christen is moving into her
masculine.
Or at least we're all moving.
I said, listen. You have to stay your balance. It's called balance. You can't be too far one way or too far the other.
I said I love the tie.
I love a tie. I love a good tie.
Especially I'm getting all this attention for it. All right, everybody. We are back with everybody's favorite segment, community questions.
Abby from Colorado wants to know, do you name your plants? And if so, how do they get their names?
Oh my gosh. See, this is when I wondered, like,
if Abby is really Billy from our studio.
I wonder if, like, our house is bugged. Did, like, in an interview, in any point, did you tell everyone that we name all of our plants?
I mean, I say it a lot, so I wouldn't be surprised.
Maybe it's because they know that the plant that is next to you right there has a name, and its name is 8.
This is our studio plant.
And we bring 8 to and fro each
every
episode.
Yeah.
Yes, we have, I'm going to go out and say mid-20s of plants.
Let's go back and forth saying the names of our plants.
Oh my God, it's a horrible idea. We're not saying 25 random names for plants that aren't here.
I have an idea. How about you just say it until you can't remember anything?
No, how about I answer the question that was asked, which is how do our plants get the names?
This would have been so much more fun.
The plants get the names if they have any like meaning or symbolism, but really we just look at them and then we blurt out the first thing. And Tobin's a very supportive namer, so really I just blurt something out and then she says okay. Our most recent plant I named Henrietta. That one was a little bizarre.
Yes, and I will say that our plants, when we water them, we always speak to them and we always use their names.
Yes, so they know their names and they respond to them.
And we remember them because there are a lot of them.
Yeah, but it's hard.
Yeah.
Okay. Fran from Germany asks, oh, hi, all the way in Germany. Apparently, in every relationship, there's one partner who stacks the dishwasher like a Scandinavian architect and one like a raccoon on meth. Who's the raccoon?
Wow, I didn't know this about relationships, but we're like, we don't really fit this mold, right?
I think we do.
Okay, I think from that response, I'm maybe the raccoon on meth.
I think so. I mean, a Scandinavian architect. Hello.
I do see it like slightly rearranged after I put things in.
You do. Yeah. My mom had a phrase. What was it? You can always, it's basically like you can always fit more stuff in the dishwasher. I don't know. It didn't play well. Thanks, Fran. Okay, next question.
Okay. Charmaine from Australia asks, Christen, I hear you've got a new passion for cooking. What is your signature dish or favorite thing to make?
Okay, that's hard. I would really like to have 7 recipes and just rotate them again and again. But I generally cook for Tobin, and Tobin lives life for novelty. She just wants new things, new flavors, new experiences. So I cannot really have a signature dish. However, there's one dish that Tobin makes me make repeatedly, which is cauliflower shawarma.
I thought you were maybe meatballs.
No, I never make meatballs. Those are
They're so good, though.
Oh, they're so good.
Yeah. Yeah, cauliflower shawarma.
Yeah, but you know what I like to make? Beef tacos.
Yeah.
That's my favorite thing to make, and it's my favorite thing to eat, and I just don't care what anyone thinks.
Yeah, last night I always make Christen when she like serves it, like we're at like a 3-star Michelin restaurant, so like we always have to say like, oh, okay, chef, like what are we eating tonight? And then she like goes into the spiel, and last night she said,
beef tacos.
No,
I said beef tacos, gordita supreme style. Something like that. So that ends today's segment of community questions. Thank you all so very much for your questions. If you would like to get your question on the show, you can join our membership. Our membership is a magical place for sports fans and change makers who come together. They watch sports. We talk about activism, identities, and belonging. It is the only wholesome place on the whole internet. We love it. We love you, Reimaginers. Thank you so much. So check it out. We are also doing a show called The Debrief that is a members-only piece of content after every single US Women's National Team match this Olympics. A lot of good things going on. And thanks for all your questions. Okay, so let's talk about some of the best stories of this Olympics.
Ooh.
I think, Tobin, you just said we're hearing all these like stories of people who are sort of breaking the mold of what is expected of them. And I think our rugby team was one of the best examples of that. And I think, Sid, you were in the locker room and you were like, oh my God, I love Ilona.
Yeah.
Ilona is...
Tell me why you love her, because I think of you as hilarious, great content creator, and everybody loves you. And when you said she was awesome, I was like, she's definitely going to be awesome.
I think she's just hilarious. I think she's so honest and true to herself and funny and like able to bring people in, and like that's what people want. Like people want to be able to like relate to you, you know, and I think that she's so relatable and she's just so hilarious. I love her.
And she's a badass.
And she's a badass.
Yo, she's a
just
beast.
stiff arming these little girls. And I'm like, holy shit.
I'm like, I would never want to play rugby.
Not even being so tiffy?
Yeah, even with your tits. Even with my tits and tips. I'm like, yo,
I think they take you.
I think they would.
For sure.
First of all, I have the ass for the
candidates.
pits. I have the ass to play rugby for sure.
Yeah, I don't.
But you don't.
And
you could be you could be the lift up
you could lift
person.
me up.
Yeah.
And you know, Michelle Kane just gave $4 million to it. So there's investment there.
Well, you know what? I might think about
Never say never.
Never say never. I know. I love her. I loved what I saw the other day from her about, I guess there was a comment made on one of the posts that she did, and it was calling out her like BMI. And she was like, I bet her BMI is 30. And she's like, funny enough, it is. And it doesn't mean fuck all. Like, and just kind of went through this like really beautiful and like very pointed way of being like, what you said is hurtful, and it's also rooted in, like you said before, it's rooted in like this ideology of like what a woman should look like and what that woman should look like in sport. And those two things are like completely different. I think it's been so male dominated for so long that those two things have always sat so close to one another.
And someone else putting value on a woman's body.
Yeah. And so I saw it and I like actually teared up because I struggled for a long time with like my body when I was younger and what I was supposed to look like and the amount of times they're like, you need to lose weight. And I'm like, that's not what you actually mean. Do I need to get more fit? Do I need to lean out? All these things. It was never like there was never a plan in place. There was never something that was backed in like scientific scientific backing. It was just like, you need to lose weight. Okay, well, what does that look like? And because there was like nothing or no blueprint, then like I internalized it as like, don't eat or eat little or so then you're not fueling in the proper way and you're not doing all this and you have this I had like a really unhealthy relationship with food. And so when I got to professional level, I was like, got a few years out of college, and all of a sudden I'm like 25, and they're like, I can't make it past like 70 minutes in a game. And they're like, what's going on? Are you hydrated? And I was like, yeah, I am so hydrated, but I would only eat like breakfast. Yeah. Maybe a lunch, and then try to go play like at an elite level. And I finally spoke to like a dietitian. She's like, tell me what you eat. And I told her, she's like, oh my God, like you're not fueling your body. Your body needs fuel. And like for women, that's not told to us. Or it wasn't back when like we were coming up. Like it wasn't like, this is good for you. Not everything is good for you, but these things, when you eat them and the time that you eat them, this is going to like protect you and let you do what you need to do at the level you want to do it at. And I don't know. I just think like moments like that, like even for me, I even struggle. I will find myself even sometimes being like hesitant to eat something. And I'm like, I'm 34 years old. This is still stuck. This is still here. So I appreciate her going out and being like, it's okay for your body to look like this because I need my body to look like this.
Every
to go
woman
do
was like, yes.
what I want to do.
Yes.
And I feel like that's so like that's why everybody is loving her.
Yeah.
She did an interview talking about like whether or not she was like allowed to wear makeup or lipstick or whatever that obviously went viral. But all of this is about like on the basis of race or gender policing women's bodies and like the patriarchy, how like with or without like the overt words of like you need to lose weight, it's kind of told to all of us all the time. And there's so many stories in this Olympics of people breaking that mold in various ways, either talking about their mental health, which is the patriarchy freaking hates that because they like when your mental health is down in the gutter because that's what's easiest to police. And talking about your body weight, talking about if you're allowed to wear makeup. All of these stories that I've found so inspiring in the Olympics are really about people coming out of that mold and like breaking that barrier in different ways in different sports.
Yeah.
It's super fun.
Yeah. It's really cool.
It's so cool.
She ended her like thing about the BMI and she goes, and like, I'm going to the Olympics and you're not. So,
yeah, that was the best part. She was like, no, she goes, alas. I'm like, the alas was, the using of alas was just like.
I like that.
I was like, I will now be using alas.
Yeah, I will finish every sentence with an alas and remind you of my worth and my value as a woman.
Exactly.
Because I decided as a woman.
Alas.
She's in the Olympics and she won a bronze fucking medal.
Yeah. So should we move now to our favorite of all things, the US Women's National Team?
Oh, we can.
Okay. So the US Women's National Team obviously is into the semifinal. Big deal.
Huge deal. Whoa, let's go.
Yep. So we want to do a vibe check. 1, what are you liking? 2, what are you not liking
about
this group?
Ooh. I think we look tired.
That's what you're liking?
No, that's what I dislike. I think that you need your subs.
Yeah.
We've seen it in every single like big tournament. You need your subs, and to not really use your subs all the way up to this point is tough.
Hard for those
because
players.
the turnaround is so fast.
Yeah.
So I mean, I thought that Japan did really well. They had some chances. I thought that we were a little shaky in the midfield for sure. Just giving balls away that, but I think we were able to get it done, and I think that's always good. We always find a way to win, usually.
That's something to like.
Yeah, is that like we're getting back to that like, okay, we will find a way to win, even though this wasn't our best game. And I mean, we've all been through that. So I think that's good. I think that's a positive.
Yeah, in a tournament, you're not going to play 6 great games, but you just can't lose.
But you
so
can't
you
lose.
play the next game and try to do it better.
We'll forgive everything else but the losing.
I think Naomi Girma is the best player on that field, on that team. I think she is the unsung hero of that team. I think she is probably one of the best center backs we have seen in a long time. And I think she's just brilliant.
+1.
Yeah, she's a badass.
+2.
+3.
There we go.
Team
Girma.
Yeah.
Team Girma.
Team Girma.
I love it. What you like in Marl?
What I like 2 things. I think you saw like a similar like World Cup roster to this Olympic roster. And I think the World Cup, the like world stage, there was a bit of like Soph struggled, Trinity struggled, and being like their first turn, like one of the first big stages that they're playing on. And I think that struggle's good. I think to have that moment where it doesn't go your way and, you know, people are looking at you to like, are you going to be able to finish in like big moments? And are you going to be able to like ride out the pressure of like being a star on this team? And I think you're seeing that they've come to this Olympics and they're like, no, we have something to prove. And I think that is like the grit that has been a part of the national team for so long that you just kind of love to see them evolving in their style of play and becoming more confident. With that, I think I have never played with Mal on like a club team in any capacity, but to see her like getting back to the momentum that she had prior to like getting injured going into the World Cup is fucking incredible. I think anyone who's gone through, which we all are sitting here and gone through a massive injury that keeps you out for a long time. And I think the question is like, it's not if you'll ever get back, it's like if you'll ever gain momentum again. And I think what she's been able to do is like so impressive, and I'm so proud of her. And like to sit and watch her do her thing is like she is what brings that front line all together. And I think you realize how much you missed her in the World Cup. And then
Yeah.
I got to shout out my girl, my sister, Crystal Dunn.
I know.
I was like, yo, she's fucked around, been too durable, and they play her starting max minutes. And I'm like, you can't win without her on the field.
I think Emma was just really smart in like saying like, oh, Crystal's gonna be like a forward, because like she just did that to just like give a nod to Crystal. Like, yes, you can play forward.
Yeah.
But no, you're not going to.
Yeah, and I think
it was like kind of knowing and understanding the player, because I feel like Crystal just wants to be seen in that way, right?
Yeah.
Like realistically, like she hasn't played there all tournament, or maybe a little bit in the group games, but like that was just like such a knowing of the manager to a player.
Right.
Like Crystal Dunn forward. But
sure.
But the team needs you
outside back.
You know? You're going to go back there again. Oh, well, I think there's also this... I think there's also this like evolution in like what a veteran player means to a team.
Wow, yeah.
And like knowing the value of that. Like, yes, is it exciting to have young players come in, and there needs to be rotation, and this is like a secular thing that teams should rotate at like this level, you know, like you'll get a cycle, maybe 2. Okay. But I think like to have Crystal on that team for as long as she's been on it, and I think Chris said it the other day, like at the end of the day, Crystal's been going against the best forwards in the world for a decade.
Yep.
If you're going to trust anyone, you better trust her. And I think as this game and this league has been around for long enough for women to continue their careers and hopefully get paid what they should be paid, that you'll see that women's careers are extended a lot longer than they were in the past. And that will start to dissolve this narrative that you are at your peak at 27 and by 34, you shouldn't be on the field anymore. And I think that's just not true.
Yeah, I mean, if we can have a 27-year-old gold medalist gymnast,
Who's
longevity has
so
changed,
crazy.
folks, in
Again,
sports.
I mean, it's changing the narrative. Like, that's just hasn't happened. And I think, you know, you had Pino stay in and Carly Lloyd and Press is coming back. Like, all the, like, to have that, like, shift of being like, oh, wow, these players can play well into their 30s.
And that comes from
resources.
Yeah. So, like, actually good medical treatment, right?
Yeah.
And also from money. Like, make it worth it.
Yeah.
Make it so that I can't retire, so that I would regret it, you know? Because the
totally.
That's a big part of it.
1000%.
Like, at this point, you look at your career and you're like, I'm sacrificing so much. I have chronic knee pain. Like, what am I getting in return for my family and my life, right? But as that's shifting, I hope to echo you, that we dissolve the narrative that women can't do it. And what
it's not because...
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No, you go.
You guys.
No,
well, this is fun.
No, I was just like, for far too long, women have chosen between passion and a paycheck. You know? And so we've lost probably a lot of great players. And the ones that can stay have made it in some way monetarily that they can keep doing it for long enough. And yeah, it's not because women can't keep doing it. It's because they can't afford to.
Yeah. And I think, like Sid, it's such a great example of you. Like, you won a gold medal in 2012. You won a World Cup in 2015. And you're a veteran in this league. You have 2 kids. Like, there's a favorite saying I have, and it's stay and complicate. And I feel like you stayed in the NWSL and you complicated.
I love that quote for Sid.
And because of that, every single player is better for it. And going back to what Merritt said, but like for you also pioneering as a mom.
Yeah.
And I know that has not been easy. And everything that you've been given, from resources to everything, you've had to fight for, you've had to ask for. And in doing so, it was a burden to you. But in doing so, you've opened doors for future moms to say, she can do it, so can I.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, the amount of moms in the league now versus what it used to look like is crazy.
Yeah.
I don't think people believe they could be a mom and play soccer.
Yeah.
Your
Because
career
There was no infrastructure.
There was no infrastructure.
Yeah.
Because you couldn't. Yeah. Yeah. It was crazy.
Like, in your first year, did you have any support from the league in terms of, you know, childcare?
No. At first, no. I would have, like, when I was in Kansas City with Cassius, I had our team mom was the babysitter because I brought him everywhere. So she would just walk him around in the stroller like 27 laps during practice. And then he just came with me everywhere. And then I had Rue and I did the same thing. And like things started getting better. But I remember like going to an away game with Cassius, and I had a roommate, and I'm like,
no.
I'm like, we can't do this.
You and Cassius had a
Me,
roommate.
Cassius, and a teammate.
And it wasn't. Merritt.
No.
It was not me. I was not in the picture there.
Yeah. And I was like, absolutely not. Like, I'll pay for my own room, but she didn't ask for this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? She was never going to say anything, but I'm like, I would never do that to somebody. Like,
Oh
that
my
is
gosh,
crazy.
wait.
Could you imagine? Could you
Imagine.
It had to have been a rookie, right?
No. No, it wasn't. And she was like, it's fine. I'm like, no, it's not fine.
It is
That
not
is
fine.
so
1,000%
It
not
is
fine.
not fine. And so, whatever, I got that figured out.
Yeah, you bought your
It had to
own.
come from my fucking pockets,
Yeah.
but whatever. But I do think like it was because I saw other people do it, and then things needed to change for all of us, and like we had to push because this wasn't like, if I wasn't a national team player, I don't know how I would have been able to do that. Like it's very hard. So yeah, but 2 kids, I think about that and I'm like, how do I have 2 kids? I don't know. But you just do it. And
Yeah, and
It's
now it's
crazy.
just going to be like totally normal.
it's normal.
Like you're going to have all the resources, so it doesn't take an ounce of like any kind of stress from you.
Yeah.
It's just going to be
Just
taken
part
care
of it. Yeah.
A part of the club structure,
100%.
a part of the league structure, like
Yeah.
that. And but you paved that way, you know,
Thanks.
because you had a roommate. with
Yeah,
your 2
because I had a
kids all the
roommate
time.
and I was like,
Oh my goodness.
no.
And
There's-
now we've got what? Casey Kruger, Crystal
On the
Dunn.
desk, yeah.
We've got some moms on the
Yeah.
national team.
Yeah.
And, you know, they've got childcare, they've got support,
Yeah.
and they've got the things that they need to
Yeah.
compete at the highest level as women with children, because men having children and being athletes is no problem. It never has
Yeah.
been,
Right,
never will
right.
be.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem to be a concern.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
you know, I think we talked a lot about kind of the collective action of like women like actually coming together and just realizing like we all have like shared stories, and now we have shared language, and now we have shared tools to like actually like rise up and kind of create our own sports, our own narrative. But like we also need the men.
Yeah.
And I think
1000%.
that something really special that you also did, Sid, just from you playing and being excellent at what you were doing, like you made friends with Kobe Bryant because he had girls that I'm sure he looked at the USWNT team and was like, I want my daughters to have someone to look up to
Yeah.
that's excellent athlete.
I have a crazy story actually, because I talked to Kobe for the first time heading into the 2012 Olympics.
Wow.
I got an email that basically was like, hey, I'm a huge fan of you and I would love my daughters to meet you. It's nice to have someone who looks like them. And I'm like reading this. We were away. I think we were at like Algarve or something. And we were away. And I'm like, who is this? And then at the bottom, it's like Kobe Bryant.
At the bottom, you like
Oh
read the whole
my
email,
gosh.
like not knowing.
Not knowing.
What if
and
you
then
never
I
made
was
it to
like,
the bottom?
and I was like,
Did he not say it all the time?
Yeah.
What was the subject
And I
line?
was like, I don't remember. But I just remember being like, no way. And I remember like calling my mom and being like, Mom, Kobe Bryant like emailed me.
Yeah.
And ever since then, we just like, he was like an amazing mentor to me. And, you know, I loved his kids. I love his family. And then we just became like so close.
Yeah,
So
but-
that's how that happened.
Yeah, that is so crazy. But to be fair, like Kobe, in my opinion, was the first
100%.
big men's athlete
Yes.
that I knew that paid attention to women's
Yes.
sports. I remember him coming to the US Women's National Team a bunch of times, and that attention,
Yeah.
him respecting
Yeah.
women's athletes has completely changed the
100%.
narrative. And we talk about that all the time, like men's part in this, and Kobe Bryant was a pioneer of that too.
100%. Yes. He was number one. He was the first big one who really ever did it.
Yeah.
You know, and he made it huge. He was the first one to ever wear that orange
Yep.
WNBA
Yep.
sweater.
Yep.
And like, it's amazing. And he did that because he had daughters.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I think about all of the professional athletes, all the men who have daughters.
Yeah.
I'm like, you got to do a little bit more.
Yeah.
You got to do a little bit more. You got to come to play a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, the impact was huge.
Yeah.
So huge.
So our show here, the recap show, it sits at the intersection of sports, progress, and equity. And I could not think of better guests to represent those things than the two of you. We haven't even got into any of the juicy stories about your personal lives and
Let's go.
and the drama and the history that we all share. And I would love to, but this is alas. This is the end of the episode.
So we like to end each episode by looking forward to another match. This one's going to be a little bit different. This is my Paris prediction. I predict that I will be in Paris for the Olympic final. I guess we'll have to wait and see. Want more of the recap show? Never miss an episode by subscribing on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts.